Works Commission is conducting this meeting October 8th, 2025 at 4 p.m. on the Zoom platform and in person. This meeting will be recorded and will be available for later viewing on the town's website. Seeing as we have a quorum of members and all members are attending in person, I, Andrea Solomon, hereby call this meeting to order. So we're going to start with a review and approval of the minutes. This is from the September 10th, 2025 meeting. Did anybody have additions, edits?
I had one,
Okay.
this is pages aren't numbered, but it's on the item engineering division, Steve Lucan, town engineer. And it's under pedestrian and bicycle safety. So it has, projects completed this year, very bottom of the page. Signs and lines for the, I assume that's Thoreau School District,
Oh,
not Thoreau.
oh, yeah. Okay, so
Just to have that correct, was I
Okay.
think the only thing that was, and then I had just a question, what is the HAR? There's a reference to on paving of META lot in West Concord are contingent on the HAR, HAR entrance work. It's used there twice, so I assume it's a real thing. I just didn't know what it was. You know what that is?
Under which section?
It's in, under, it's before facilities.
I wonder if it's
management.
supposed to be Harvey Wheeler. Was it?
Is that what it is?
No, they mentioned it more than once.
Yeah,
Oh,
It's in there a couple times. I was wondering about it too, and I thought I was just the idiot who didn't know.
yeah,
they are doing entrance.
yeah. Anyway, I just didn't know what it was. I thought it may not be an error, but it's.
Yeah, I can have, is that Harvey Wheeler?
It is
It is
Harvey
Harvey
Wheeler.
Wheeler. Okay, great. Maybe we can
We'll
just spell
spell
that out.
out. Okay,
That's it.
okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes with edits?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes with edits.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So, we'll move on to public comments. These would be, comments will be limited to 15 minutes with no more than 2 minutes for any one speaker, and we would ask that you keep it to topics that aren't on the agenda. Oh, okay, should I
We're
do
gonna do the
that?
calendar.
Okay, we'll do the calendar first. So next, on our next meeting on November 12th, that's the roads program review. That's a big one. It's gonna be the regular time and place.
It says Harvey Wheeler on here.
Do we have to?
That's the
special
28th.
Over special.
So I'm talking about the November, I just wanted to bring up the November 12th one
Oh, it's
first.
November.
So our regular next meeting will be the November 12th one. There is a special meeting that we are hoping to schedule on October 28th. That looks like it's pretty much set. There's a couple other things that have to fall in place. That's gonna be a big joint meeting, and it's gonna be between us and TAC and the select board, staff from planning, public works, town manager's office, the police department. So
This would be shorter if you list the ones that are not there.
right, yes. It's a lot of people to get together in one place.
What's
So-
the purpose of that meeting?
So that purpose, okay, well, all right, so I was gonna do this during commissioners' comments,
Oh, you
but I'll
can.
just talk about it now. So because of the passage of the funding for road maintenance, residents are really interested in how projects are gonna be planned and prioritized. So this is especially true now that we have funding for sidewalk maintenance and can look more comprehensively at safety initiatives and in the right of way. So residents are also looking to provide information about areas in the right of way that are dangerous for pedestrians, cars, and cyclists. So for the last few months, we've had senior staff from Public Works, Planning, the Police Department, working with liaisons from this commission, from the Transportation Advisory Commission and the Select Board to design and implement a reporting and tracking system for residents' concerns so that all these concerns can be collected in one place, and the path of progress can also be tracked by residents and staff. So because of all that, we want to have this big meeting on the 28th with all the involved parties for the public for this unveiling of these plans that we are still working on. So that would be Tuesday, October 28th. It would be from 4 to 5:30 at the Harvey Wheeler. If you want to put this on your calendar, check back with the town calendar in a few days. It'll be posted. And once it's posted there, the time and place will be set. Is there anything else I want to say about that? I think that's it about that.
Selectmen leading that meeting, who's leading that meeting?
We're still working that part out. We'll put out an agenda and we'll work out all that, because there's a lot to inform. Staff will do a lot of it. Stan Tech is gonna be there. Stan Tech is working with both Public Works and Planning. Kind of two separate tracks, but now we're bringing them all together, so we'll work that out and then we'll just have it on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay,
Obviously, I have an opinion on it.
Yeah. yeah, he will be there. Yeah, so Alan's not here, but he'll be here and hopefully a little later. So we have Aaron McCloskey, head of Highway and Grounds. And okay, so it's everyone set for those two meetings on the calendar. We have October 20th, November 12th. November 12th also very important because it's our roads program review, and so that's gonna be pretty detailed too. Okay, now I don't have to do commissioners' comments. But we can do public comments if anyone has public comments. Anyone online? Nope, okay. And then we also have Sven from the, he's also on the land use working group. And do you have any updates you want to share?
Yeah, just under commissioner comments, just, I think summer was super busy, for the land use working group. I lost track of how many meetings of the group and the subgroups already happened and how many tours of different properties, happened. Just a reminder, the group is tasked to, look at, scenarios and make a recommendation to the select board, what can be done with the use of land and the use of town buildings here. Town has about 18 different buildings with different functions in it. So one subgroup is looking at consolidation opportunities. Then we have two subgroups, more. One is just looking at the public works location and where that should go, and the other one is looking at the fire and police side. The summer was used to really collect a lot of information. There's still some stuff left that needs to be collected. Then we toured a lot of the buildings to get not just the paper view of how something looks, but the personal view and an impression on the condition of the different buildings and the opportunities that different buildings have. And I think it's now with the next meetings coming back is we have to start there to consolidate some of this more and step back a little bit to say, okay, which are the scenarios that the different working groups have to focus on, and what information exactly is missing that the group can come to a recommendation during the time. It's a lot of work. It's I was amazed how much we got done, but there's still much more to be done. So at the moment, no recommendations, no trend in which direction it goes. It's really, it was fact collecting, period.
Do you have a schedule when you're gonna report out with potential
So
recommendations?
we have to report by charter every quarter to the select board. So the next one is October. Is it also October 28th? Somewhere end of October is the where it was rescheduled. No, that was rescheduled. I just got the email. It was rescheduled to end of October. But that will be more or less along the lines what we just discussed, is giving that overview. It goes for a year, which would bring us to June. So I don't see at the moment that there would be any kind of major recommendation that has some kind of budget impact right away for town meeting. But nevertheless, I think the town needs to put placeholders in a 10-year capital plan anyway, no matter what the group is saying, because it's rather clear that there is need for investments in fire, police, public works. So placeholder need to be there in a 10-year plan, no matter what.
Okay,
Thank you for your work on that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I had a little bit 5 weeks off. Now I'm getting punished and looking all these videos of the meetings.
Okay, so we'll move on to D3, project update on the redesign of the intersection of Main Baker Cottage and Old Bridge and Crest Roads. So Steve and Justin are gonna come, Steve Dukran, our town engineer, and Justin Richardson, our assistant town engineer. Is there two?
Is it, right,
So you, Steve.
good afternoon, commissioners, thank you for having us. Uh, Justin and I are here to talk about some major work that is about to begin over in the Baker Ave, Main Street, Cottage Street, and other streets in that area. So we jump right into it. Justin, you have something you have to bring up?
Yeah,
Bob, if you could, can you share the slides, please, for the first presentation? Thank you.
Okay, are you seeing it?
yes, we are.
Okay,
So,
There's a bigger map over here. You might.
yeah, that's the redesign. So the first project that's, has actually already started, and stopped is the, National Grid was, planning to install a new regulator station in front of the, 1200 to 1226 Main Street property. It's where the 7-Eleven is essentially in the sidewalk there. They started construction, but ran into a Verizon duct bank, basically in the area where they were trying to put their new regulator station. It's basically like a concrete encased, path of wires, essentially. And as a result of that, the regulator station that they were planning to put there, doesn't fit. So they are now planning to, relocate that and get an agreement with the Westgate Park property, which is where Dunkin' Donuts and the car wash and that area is, to get that back on track, because our plan was for them to do their gas main replacement, which is what I'm gonna talk about as their next project, and their vault project basically congruently, because the existing regulator station is located on Cottage Street, and that's the one that they're essentially getting rid of as a result of this new regulator station. So if we were trying to get them kind of to work in the same area at the same time, so there'd be less, impacts to traffic. But unfortunately, this Verizon duct bank has sort of thrown a little bit of a wrench into that. So we're working with National Grid as much as we can to try to get them to expedite this process of getting the agreement with the abutter and getting this new regulator station working again.
How big is that?
It's like the actual vault itself is maybe like 20 feet by like 7 feet.
Okay.
But it's underground, and there's like large hatch doors that basically they can get access to, but we're still going to be able to plow over it because it was gonna be in the sidewalk, but.
It will be in the sidewalk?
So it was gonna be in the sidewalk. Now in the Westgate Park area, I don't know if they're planning on putting it in the driveway or where they're putting it. They're still working that out with the owner of that whole area, so.
Is the owner on the car wash and the Dunkin' Donuts, they own all the land, they lease it out, or?
I don't know who the actual owner is. They're in conversation with it. They just told me that it's gonna be somewhere on
In that
Westgate,
area,
in that
okay.
area, so
Thanks.
I'm not sure who the owners are yet.
Yeah, and what's critical about the schedule is until this new station goes in operation, they cannot decommission the one on Cottage Street. So that's very important for them to catch up on their schedule for us.
And I guess that goes into, Bob, can you go to the next slide? There we go. So this is the gas main replacement project that's, they're starting in haste next week, but at this week, they're gonna be doing some, they call it potholing, essentially, they're just back trucking in certain areas to try to find existing utilities so that they don't conflict with them, like during the construction. So that'll be going on for this week and then probably some of next week as well. And following that, the actual gas main replacement, will start, and that, basically it runs down Main Street and goes all the way down Old Bridge. There's a connection point to the old Marlboro, gas main there as well. There's some minor work on Crest Street as well and Cottage. The actual regulator station that we were talking about is located right here, so they're replacing the mains essentially going to the regulator station, but that one's getting decommissioned. In the future, but because of now, it's not decommissioned, so they need to attach to it, so. This is gonna be we're currently working with National Grid on their traffic management plan. We had some comments with the police department. There's a meeting scheduled for tomorrow to go through that. They're not starting their actual project, like gas main replacements, until the traffic management plan has been kind of vetted out. And everyone's, understanding of what's gonna happen with that. So if anyone has any questions, that's basically all of National Grid's, projects that are gonna be going on in this area, and then the next two are gonna be town projects. So if anyone has any questions about National Grid
So
stuff.
what are the issues for residents and commuters in this going through here?
So obviously, when they're doing the gas main on Main Street, the majority of it's gonna be alternating traffic is what they're showing on their traffic.
Show us where that is at this point.
So the pink is the new gas main
Uh-huh.
that goes all the way to here, and the tie-in points are here and here. So there's gonna be some major traffic interruption during the gas main replacement on Main Street because of the location and just obviously the busyness of that whole intersection.
So what are they doing on Old Marlboro Road if the gas replacement's up there?
So they're just tying into the existing gas service that comes off Old Marlboro Road. There's no extensive work in Old Marlboro Road. It's
Okay, they're
Old
just
Bridge-
doing,
It's Old Bridge Road.
that meant Old Bridge Road.
Yeah, sorry.
So they're gonna tie in there, so
Yeah.
they'll have a new line come down there?
So exactly, so
Okay.
they're planning a new gas main going down.
Okay, thank you.
So just to carry the traffic discussion a little further. If they're working on Main Street right at the intersection, obviously the traffic signals may not operate as they would normally would. So we were counting on police to take control of the situation there. As Justin mentioned, the traffic plan hasn't been, vetted yet. So it'll be done within the next couple of weeks.
Question. The Cottage Street, regulator replacement was approved by the select board. Does National Grid have to come back with a different plan for approval?
So the grant of location process is is inside the public right of way. If they're doing the regulator station on a private property, it wouldn't necessarily need one, so.
But they're not moving forward with this regulator replacement.
They can't right now. They tried to talk to Verizon to get the
Right.
duck bank relocated and they're not able to do,
Okay.
so.
You want to talk about our own?
Yeah, so now, and just another thing to mention too, which we'll bring up for this project, we had a joint neighborhood meeting, with National Grid that we had at the Harvey Wheeler Center. Explaining to the residents what was gonna happen first with National Grid and then the following projects, so. Bob, if you can go to the next slide. So the next one is the Baker Ave culvert repair project. This isn't really going through very well, but this is the Concord Green condominium property here. This is Baker Ave right here. Right now, there's an existing steel plate that's that's covering the collapse right now. But this project that we're planning is to be the final repair for that, and essentially what we're, these are corrugated metal pipes coming from Concord Green. The town did an emergency repair here, in 2019, I believe, and they put, new pipes in from here to here, but when they tied it into this corrugated metal pipe, there's been a failure there, and that caused the sidewalk to collapse. So at this point, we're going to install basically a concrete structure here that's gonna encapsulate both sets of pipes, so then the connection point will be a lot more, I guess, easier for us to access, and there won't be the option for that same issue to occur, so.
So is that in front of McIntosh Lane?
McIntosh Lane this is Court, and McIntosh is right
So
over
it's in
here.
between the two?
Yeah, it's right in between the two of them.
Like right on, like, there's a stream there.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So if you drove by now, there's cones over there and some tape.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
drive by there all the time, cause I
Yeah.
go to PT
Yeah.
over there.
So where the elevated surface is, there's a plate that's paved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been paved over, that's the structure.
So this project, we have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor on Friday. We're in the process of, after the pre-construction meeting, we plan to give them the notice to proceed. We've already bid the project and everything, it's gone through natural resources. So we're trying to move forward with this and get this done before, it gets cold. As part of this project, there may be, temporary traffic signals, so we're still working. The pre-construction meeting, we're gonna discuss the schedule with the contractor to see what's gonna be appropriate in this area, but an add alternate to this bid document was a temporary signal that basically will make this like basically alternating in this area depending on how much work and excavation they need to do in this area. So that's depending on the contractor schedule and how fast they can get the work done and safe again, we may need to install that. Obviously, the issues with it's pretty close to the main Baker, to like Cottage intersection, and then also the train runs on through Baker Ave there, so we need to make sure that that's well signed. So it's
And
something
this would be
we're,
happening at the same time.
unfortunately, it's gonna be happening at the same time. We're hoping that National Grid can kind of stay on Old Bridge during that time, but we don't really have the ability to control. We can suggest stuff to National Grid, but we can't really tell them how to run their project, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But presumably if something happened that we weren't expecting, or the timing just worked out that it really wasn't gonna work, you can go back and adjust the traffic. You can sort of manage it, I guess, if you have to.
Yeah, we'll obviously have to if something comes up. Anyone have any questions on the Baker Ave culvert repair project?
Is that still covered by the ARPA funding we had?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, hearing none, Bob, we'll go to the next one. And this is, our big project that we've been talking about for a while. This is our reconfiguration of the intersection of Cottage, Main, Baker, Preston, Old Bridge. There's a blow up over here if people wanna see it in paper instead. But essentially, what's happening here is the major changes to the intersection, are going to be the removal of this slip lane that used to go on to Old Bridge. And now, cars will have to enter, from over here. So, and that's to basically, it has two purposes. First of all, to slow traffic, because there was a very direct route from here to get onto Old Bridge. But, secondly, it's to separate these two intersections, because the way it operates now as it exists, they almost operate as one giant intersection. But in this scenario, it makes them operate independently, which is kind of how it should work and operate. The next major change is there's a existing utility pole that's sitting right in the middle here with a traffic island.
Yep.
And that's gonna be removed. There's also another traffic island here that's gonna go away. So basically it tightens up the intersection in that area and separates the two. There's also, you know, other smaller improvements, like we're basically, there's an existing sidewalk here. That's gonna go away, cause we're trying to direct traffic onto Baker, cause right now it doesn't work like that.
Bob, can you go back? We see the stormwater utility up there.
There we go. And for the most part, it's gonna operate similarly. We're just trying to reconfigure, just certain aspects of it to make it, you know, angle a little better.
So where's the sidewalk on Cottage Street being taken off?
So it's being removed from right here, but we're installing it on this side of the road because when we did our review of the project, they're basically the existing sidewalk stops right here, but if we were going to put a sidewalk on Cottage Street, which we could do in the future,
Mhm.
it's a lot easier to do it on this side of the road, because there's less houses, less driveways, and there's trees and then people's walls and stuff as you come along the upside of the road. So we're installing a new portion of the sidewalk here, which is hopefully a connection point for a future project.
Isn't it counterintuitive that you put a sidewalk on the side where less houses?
So this sidewalk would be used more, obviously they have to cross the street to get there, but it's
Yeah.
not just gonna be for that neighborhood, this is a connection point from Old Marlboro Road to Main Street to West Concord, so I get what you're saying as far as across from the houses, however, it's an easier task to get the sidewalk in on this side of the road without an extreme amount of cost, so.
Yeah, the big point is if we put a new sidewalk in front of somebody's house that, hey, they have fixtures like stone walls and driveways, would have to essentially they would think it's like a taking, but it's work within the right of way. It would have to be taking down people's stone walls that they put in and doing a lot of work to do. They might take as damage to their frontage, right, and redesign along the frontage and less impactful on the butters, right? So not just from an easy point from a construction, but it is less less disruptive to private property, if you will, to put it on.
So on the traffic
side.
signaling here. So the traffic signaling will be the Baker and Main. But there's then nothing on the Old Bridge side or?
So there's no signal that's gonna be installed, there's just the existing stop sign that's gonna stay here. There's a new stop sign here on Crest Street, so these people would have to yield to the people on Old Bridge, and then again, these people would then, you know, yield to the people on Main Street.
And there's a new island.
So there is a existing island right here.
No, it looks like there's one in the middle of Main Street.
Right above it, look above.
So this is just this is pavement markings, it's not an actual
Oh.
island, it's.
Did you think it was an island?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, just pavement markings.
And we allow a left turn out of Old Bridge.
Okay, so yes, it's gonna be allowed, currently how it's set up is you're not allowed to take this left from Main Street onto, Old Bridge, but now with this and that's because the slip lane is very dangerous when there's a conflict point there, but when the slip lane goes away, that conflict basically goes away, so now your movement from Main Street will be taking a left here when
Yeah, I
it
mean,
wasn't
out
allowed.
of Old Bridge. Out of Old Bridge.
So out of Old Bridge, you're taking a left onto Main Street, so
Yes.
Well, most people in traffic, they go straight through the parking lot, go straight
yeah.
to the private property and the parking lot, circle around the building and go on Baker Avenue and get out there. Because it's in traffic, it's impossible to have a left turn.
So that's how it's designed. Our consultant has said that there's enough, there's more queuing now as a result of the signalized intersection. It's how it operates now, unfortunately.
after the traffic light is set in and programmed,
Correct.
how often or when after that you're checking if the programming of the traffic light works? Specifically main commute hours.
So as part of this project, we're planning to configure all the signals on Main Street, so Church,
Okay.
Commonwealth Ave. And this intersection, so it should function appropriately. We will obviously continue to monitor it ourselves, but. We went for a bottleneck grant a while back, which was gonna reconfigure all these signals. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful, but it was Jacobs that did the bottleneck grant for us. And Jacobs is our consultant for this, so they basically have the data related to it, so.
We, to just to finish the answer, so as Justin said, we monitor these things and we do get feedback from the public about traffic. And, with the new controller, a detection system, the traffic detection doesn't work there today. We put in a camera to do the detection like we have at other intersections. We anticipate a lot of improvements in the level of service. But we ourselves will, as we drive by, as we listen to people's complaints and so on. And I do think with system may be able to collect data as well that we can download.
If we go with a certain controller.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have one quick question. So Cottage Street is very narrow when it hits Main. It's very difficult to make a right down that street.
Yeah.
Is it being widened at all as part of this?
So this is the major issue we've dealt with this project is the right of way dimensions in this whole area is very narrow. I've been negotiating with all of the abutters essentially for about a year. And we're able to establish some easements that they're allowing us to have. We have verbal agreement for that. We're gonna have to work through that with town council and our surveyor, but we're working with some of the abutters to get to configure it as much as we can, but unfortunately, there's just not a lot of room in these streets, so.
Can I ask which movement you're referring to, the right from Cottage?
If you were coming down Main
Main-
Street towards Route 2
Main to
and you're trying
Cottage.
to make a right,
Yeah.
if there's a car coming out of Cottage, it's very difficult to make. a
Yeah,
right.
so we are getting an easement from this abutter here. We're pulling the sidewalk back as much as we can. We're also moving the stop bar down. So cars won't be right up on the intersection, so it's going to operate better than it did with the constraints that we have.
Have you met with the neighbors about this? Cause I'm just picturing, this is like ground zero for construction this year. I mean, you've got the sidewalk on the top part, right? The concrete green sidewalk being replaced at the top. You've got the gas regulator, the old gas is in the lower left.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, it's like, how would these projects coordinate? How is this gonna coordinate with the National Grid and the sidewalk replacement or culvert?
So first of all, to answer your first question, we had a very well-attended neighborhood meeting. We put flyers out to basically the whole neighborhood. We had a joint meeting with National Grid. There was around, I would say 50 people there that went. And everyone had the opportunity to ask questions. We, answered them as best as we could, took comments for this design as well. So they are very aware of what's going on. We also have a web page set up for this project, so we continue to update that. Like I updated it this week to make people aware of National Grid starting to do potholing and stuff like that. We'll continue to post that. We'll post the, traffic management plans, stuff like that as much as we can. And then for your second question, as far as like scheduling goes, our plan, National Grid is going to start here. We're going to start on Baker Ave, but our actual intersection redesign project, we're not anticipating to start until National Grid has completed their work. We're trying to get at least some of our project done after National Grid's done, but I think the major thing that we're really pushing for is to get that utility pole relocated. ahead of time, because that has some potential to, kind of bog down the project. So what, you know, I have a meeting scheduled for next week with CMLP, Verizon, and Comcast to try to facilitate that. And we're having our designer basically design something that allows us to put that new, utility pole in, while still having the existing intersection operating. So
Great. Can we get that website in the record somewhere?
it's right in the, it's in the memo.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
I also expect people will start changing their driving. I mean, cause I go to PT twice a week,
Yeah.
right there off Baker Ave.
Right.
And I come right down Main Street. I think I'm gonna go down Elm. Come around, I'm like, I'm not going near there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this will be done well before the Novo project, the housing project is done. When it comes. Just wondering if any of this design will be impacted by the traffic plan for Novo. I'm not familiar with that, because that's gonna put a lot of, it's off the map here to the.
Yeah, yep. So our design consultant, we were able to give them the traffic counts for like Novo and the traffic plan for Novo. So they've incorporated that into the design of this intersection.
Great.
Obviously, it's a lot of extra traffic that's gonna be generated by that. So like, you know, our level of service for this intersection obviously does get affected by it. But it was going to anyway, so.
And you should know that the approval, this building thing, might have been planning was the zoning approval, a condition that they give a contribution to this project.
Great.
Any more questions about this project? Sure there'll be many on the way. Thanks, thank
No,
you.
no problem.
We will be busy.
Nah.
Okay, so Steve, I get to keep you, so you're.
Yeah.
Stanley.
But we got
Yeah.
both Paula and Tammy.
Okay, perfect. Oh,
Well, we gotta get you a chair.
I can stay here. Okay. Sammy Pudell, our Public Works Engineer for Stormwater. So you guys are gonna go over the Stormwater Enterprise update.
Yes. So Sammy prepared with the display that you can get up on the screen, Bob. So while Sammy goes through these bullets that she wants to talk about what we've been doing since we got the approval of the budget at the last town meeting. A lot of it has to do with the actual preparation of the billing, and that's why Paula is here. She's been the lead in terms of working with the NISC on that. So anyway, Sammy.
Bob, if you could go to the second slide, just the instructions. Well, just moving on, I just had a bullet point, revising or just providing update on what have been done. So we basically had the fee structure approved and credit policy approved in May 14 from PwC. The budget was approved at the town meeting. And I'm just gonna go in detail about the work that has been ongoing regarding the stormwater utility implementations.
Oh,
Bob,
next
could you
slide.
go to the next? You can go skip the slide and then go to the next one.
Bob,
We still see the first slide, Bob.
Stop.
Bob, we lost the presentation.
Yeah, maybe can you just matter of keeping up with time, you can talk.
Yes, I realize that. I am working on the technology on my end. Please bear with me.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys can.
Yes, I guess I'll just continue.
Yeah.
So as of right now, we have been coordinating with the GIS team so they had worked with the data they received from Weston Sampson regarding all of the impervious area for the properties. We had created the preliminary map for the residents to go and check the utility fee that the property would be associated with.
So the GIS team has finalized their analysis of all of the impervious area within all of the parcels. They basically looked into the town records, near map imagery, and then the consultant work in order to figure out the impervious area for each parcels. For the small residential tiers, we have incorporated like 2.5% of margin of error, because if your property was between 0 to 2,500, but then you're just over like 60 square foot, then it has been brought down, accounting for like the 2.5% of margin of error.
So you make it downwards.
Yeah, you're not going up, if we're within that range,
Yeah.
then. And on the website, you would just see the updated impervious area. And we also have the record of the actual impervious area, but just to be like clear on what you will be charging, has the updated impervious area. We worked with the GIS team, which we had like preliminary with GIS in order to search for your property parcel, get the fee, like preliminary estimate of the fee. That has been finalized to the final version and it's available. We have created the dedicated web page for the stormwater utility fee section, because the stormwater utility had a lot of backgrounds, a lot of presentations, everything in there. So when residents were going in, they were getting confused on where they're looking at, because it's too much of information in there. So to make it more easily accessible and understandable, we have created a stormwater utility fee piece under stormwater, where you can basically see the breakdown of the range of impervious area within different tiers. And then we also have provided the link to that GIS access, where you can click on it, then you can look at your property and then see, okay, which tier you are, what's the monthly fee associated with your property, and all of that information. And then the abatement application and the credit application has also been linked in the same web page. So if you are applying for the amendment, then you can basically just access the application from there.
Yeah.
Bob, if it comes, go to the next, I think, few slides.
Building platform integration.
Yeah, if you click on, I was gonna try to show
Okay,
that
so,
GIS,
Back one, please.
that one,
GIS tool.
GIS tool and customer, access. Fourth one,
There you go.
yeah,
There you
if you click on that link,
So I can go in here now and see what I'm gonna pay.
yes.
for-
And monthly fee, we're
Mhm.
showing the
Cool.
monthly fee as well. So this is the page, giving the little bit of background, showing the impervious area range and then fee associated with it for each parcel. If you go a little bit down, more. Yeah, property lookup tool. If you go a little bit more down, yeah, the fee explorer, stormwater fee explorer, if you, Bob, could you click on that link? Yeah. And we can just look at like 133 Kais Road property, if you can put it on the address bar.
Let's look at Sten's mansion.
I have a special situation.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So you can
I
see,
have an easement and the guy put a lot of asphalt on that.
you can see this parcel and then you can see the monthly fee associated with it. It also shows you like the total impervious area for this parcel, which is this property that we're in right now. And you are able to see for any property in town, it's available. And the amendment that we have, amendment application is, if you believe the impervious area shown in the property is wrong, then you can apply for it. We'll do the review with information with GIS team, and then it will be updated. So GIS team have worked a lot in order to be more like accurate on the impervious area, but there might be some cases where the impervious area shown might not be the correct one, and that's where we had the amendment application.
And that is on the webpage.
Yeah, it's on the same webpage. If we go back to the WIP is Bob. So the bill amendment form is over there, and then the,
This is great. I wanna let you know, this is wonderful. You made it
thank you.
so easy for,
Yeah, I was trying
for
to
people
make
to
it
see it,
easier
and it's
for,
really
like, you
straightforward.
just have to go at one stop and then just see the things that you need. And if you need like, if you wanna go over the backup of how we came up to here, then we have a stormwater utility page where all of the backups are there.
It's great.
Similarly,
It looks
yeah.
great when you actually get ready to bill people for it. I might put something on the main page that has a link, right? It takes a little bit to
Yeah,
kind of get here.
we're also
Yeah.
working on, planning on doing that
Yeah.
as well. You can go back to the presentation. Next slide. Just wanted to provide on the work that has been going on with NISC. They would be the one to implement the, stormwater fee for us. They're the same platform that the town uses for any other utilities. And then the billing testing would begin in November for the stormwater utility. Next,
So the bill testing is,
after they set it up, then we'll have to do the testing on
so
our end.
when
to
do we
make
expect the first actual bills going out?
We're planning for December,
Okay,
yeah.
and do you inform the citizens before that they are not just falling off their chair on December about a
Yeah,
new
yeah,
line
yeah.
item?
So we
Yeah.
have a lot of public outreach that we're planning to do,
Yeah.
to provide the updates.
Including, getting an insert in the current bills.
Yeah,
For the
Okay.
next couple of months, yeah.
And that's the side how we're doing that, the same also for the our garbage waste
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So is it the same process, the same
Notification.
testing, the same notification?
Not a webpage and abatement fee.
Yeah, no, sure.
Yeah, same notifications. We've been sending out mailers. People have gotten a notification, reading the utility bill, there was a flyer. That billing started.
So I'm not getting a paper thing anymore. I opted into digital. I never got something.
Digital, I don't know how they send, I don't know how the digital side works. I'm not in the customer service, so, but if you got a utility bill, there was a flyer in there that said starting,
Okay,
October 1st. It'd be going, your first bill you would receive for solid waste and recycling is gonna be November 1st, billed for the month of October.
And in the notification you get that they've taken the money on an automated billing. There's some kind of a link there that says if you wanna see the inserts. So you can, even though you don't get the paper bill, you can actually hit a link to get.
okay.
But, you know, it doesn't tell you there's
No.
something to see.
No.
Push out
Right.
news and notice, website information. And anybody that was a subscriber to a current customer of any other municipal utility, they've gotten a notification. So you'll see your first solid waste recycling bill in your November bill for the month of October. And residents, as they've called, some people have been, reached out to us directly in the office, like trying to resubscribe for the next 6-month period, kind of what they're used to from, the previous format of the program, and we notified them that we're going to monthly billing, and it's been well received, so.
Okay, sorry for the sidetrack.
But we can go to the next slide. Regarding the customer service and outreach, just wanted to provide an update on what has been going on in the background and what we're planning to do. So we have, CMLP is our point of contact regarding the customer service, so we have been in touch with them and communicated, and I have provided the FAQs, shared it with them, so if they receive the call from customer, they would be able to answer the questions. If not, then it will be transferred into our department. And we're working on creating the billing inserts to provide update on the upcoming bill that they would be seeing. We're also working on, regarding the news and notice and social media outreach regarding the stormwater utility. And we'll also be providing the update on the town manager's upcoming report and planning to, touch base with, Concord Bridge to provide the updates of the upcoming utility fees that they will be seeing. Next slide. Bob.
So who will get the calls when the people, somebody call? Who are they
Um,
calling?
It's the
Main line?
CMLP, yeah, customer service line that they would be calling regarding the billing questions.
Is that an
Public
outsourced
policy.
service? I think it is.
So just to add, the first line will be the customer service team at CMLP, and they have been provided with the facts. But in the event that they get overwhelmed, they do have a third party called CRC, and those calls will be referred to them. And they also have all that information. And then in the event that either entity can't answer, it will be referred to engineering.
And that third part is also available after hours, right?
They're
Yeah.
after hours. And just the last slide to update that we have submitted the year 7 annual report. We're working towards doing the regular, things that we need to do under MS4 permit for year 8 and, just like public outreach that's ongoing. This one is just an update regarding the MS4 because it's kind of related to the stormwater utility anyway, that's why I slide up.
So initially, when we were figuring out the impervious, percentages and so forth, we had estimates for what we'd be able to bill from revenue, and now that you finalize it, is there any significant variation in what you think you're gonna bill versus what you were gonna bill?
Not whole lot, from the preliminary analysis that we had done, if you see that slide for the first year of the small residential, I think 46 or 47 property came down, so they were like, if they had seen, they were on tier 2, they will be seeing that they will be falling under tier 1, it will be the less pricing.
So the billing assumption on the revenue that you had estimated is pretty much
It's,
realistic. Yeah.
it's still pretty much, and also depends on the credit application that we'll receive,
Right,
like
I
that
understand that.
fluctuation, but yeah,
Okay.
overall.
So no
we're
real
still good.
surprises, that's what I
Yeah,
was trying to get at, okay. thank you.
Because when the consultant did the analysis, it was done a few years ago, and then we have like some properties that have added the
Sure.
houses and improved, so it's kind of like balanced out.
Yeah.
Looks like we're close enough.
Good.
Didn't change a whole lot for us.
Any more questions? Any questions from anyone online? Bob?
No, there is not.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Thank you.
So, I think maybe we'll go to the director's report for Highway and Ground since Alan isn't here, or do you want to start with the,
No, we're good. We can roll into that.
capital plan?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, all
Hey,
right.
it's up to you.
No, that's
You'd like to
fine.
Wait for Alan, or, I mean, we're familiar with the projects. and-
Aaron, I've heard from Alan, and Alan is going to be running late.
All right,
Oh, really?
sounds good.
Yes.
Go with,
Later than he is.
Yeah, so. You want to stick with this as the next one item?
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Bob, can you put up the finance committee, PowerPoint presentation, please?
You want the FinCom presentation first?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I think that was the
Okay.
next. agenda item. So while they're working on getting the presentation loaded, I'll give an overview. Aaron McCloskey, Highway and Ground Superintendent. Good evening. So we're gonna present this evening an overview of the capital requests that were submitted for Concord Public Works for fiscal year 2027. The PowerPoint presentation that you're gonna see here shortly and what's in your packet is sections of a PowerPoint presentation that was presented from Finance Department to FinCom last week or the week before. So you'll see the numbers on the slides kind of jump around. It's their intro slide. Then after about slide, I'm gonna say it's slide 7, it jumps ahead to slide 18. And that's because we are focusing on the introduction and an overview, and then jumping right to the public works capital projects only. We're not gonna be covering any of the other slides that were capital projects for other departments outside of public works. Alan wanted to provide the Public Works Commission with, an early overview of what we're requesting, why we're requesting the projects. Kind of a preamble into, pre-public hearing, get some feedback from the group and understand here on this level early on why we're requesting things for this year and the amounts of, we gain some support and address any concerns that the committee might have, so. Well, everyone's got a copy of it. Do you want to wait for the technology or do you want to go through it? Well, would you like to copy the slides? Well.
Yeah, Aaron, we're having major Adobe problems here. We've got somebody else hopping on to see whether they can get it up.
Bob, we all have copies here. We can get through it. Well. So, first slide's kind of the agenda. Jump right into slide number 3. So it's fiscal year 2027 budget schedule. So on September 30th was the close date for the submission of operating budgets. Our O&M budgets have been finalized within highway and grounds, and capital was submitted prior to that. And October 16th, there's gonna be upcoming finance committee meeting. October 30th, another finance committee meeting, 31st, submission of the balance sheets. November 17th, select board meeting. November 20th, finance committee meeting. December 8th, finance committee meeting, tri-board meeting. December 11th, another finance committee meeting. Those are targets for, finance and town manager and select board. We will attend those as staff as needed and requested to present prior to kind of public hearings. And then December 1st through the 31st, finance committee, the finalizing the capital and operating budgets on the town manager level. March 1st through the 31st of 2026 is a number of public hearings that are held for various departments to present capital and different funds for the FY27 budgets. And then April 27th, 2026 is the date for annual town meeting next year. So capital budget status, I am not finance, but I'm just gonna kind of give an overview of the slide that's here, right? So there's different tiers for capital. Tier 1, minimum range, I'll start with capital outlay, a range of $0 to $10,000. Those are typically within the operating budgets within highway and grounds, and engineering and administration and facilities are categories for general fund. And that's kind of what the main focus, and those are the early submissions, and then water and sewer are also submitted around the same timeline as well. Usually there's a later deadline for kind of water and sewer and solid waste and recycling, but this year's kind of been unique where we submitted kind of all the requests kind of early this year. Tier 1 is $10,000 to $250,000, usually funding source is cash. Tier 2 is $250,000 to $2.5 million, and usually debt or within the levy limit. And then tier 3, larger than 2.5 million asks, and those are debt excluded typically. Fiscal year 2027 capital improvement plan for general government projects. So this is a summary of the different tiers and the amounts of those projects kind of listed there for capital outlay. 198,000 tier 1, 3.4 million, tier 2, 8.2 million, tier 3. There's that 27.5 million approved for FY26 for road improvement, pavement management. That's why there is no request for tier 3 for this year. And then CPC projects, $497,000. So this is where we kind of jump ahead. So getting into public works specific projects. Russ, do you want me to cover facilities, or do you want to come up and cover it?
I'll fill in.
Okay.
What you need.
All right, so the first group is facilities. Currently this year they have 3 requests, $15,000 of their tier 1, their smaller requests. And then notable items from tier 2, total of $3.25 million. The Peabody School funding and renovation. And folks know that the Peabody School was transferred from the school department to the town this past year. Currently it is being occupied by the facilities department, and Russ Carlstad is the town's facilities manager, and overseeing kind of the transition to that building and working on some design and improvements. So that that building can be used by town staff and for town offices. Does that capture that? You want to add anything to that? 2.5 for
We're
Peabody?
waiting for the building use committees to come to a decision, per their charge. And if they decide that the PV is a possibility, then yeah, that 2.5 million would be executed for design and engineering for the renovations.
So that is, you mean that the land use group?
Land use group, yeah.
So, what if the land use group saying Peabody is not used, but you have all the potential renovation of the 18 other buildings? So is the 2.5 million a placeholder for buildings in general?
The way it's written in the capital request, it has to be used for the Peabody. It's not to be used
So
for
then,
anything
if
else.
Peabody is not used, then there's no money for the other buildings.
There's no money for the other buildings, but there is a process in place where that could be revised through town manager's office, I believe, right?
Would it be not better to have a general building funding and renovation line of 2.5 million and make the decision in which of the building it goes?
I don't know if you can.
I think there's a problem with
Yeah.
that because the 2.5 million wouldn't be enough to take care of 18 buildings.
So yeah, you definitely have to make that clear when you get
So
questions
that's
from the
why
FinCom.
this was a cleaner first step. Yeah, that's a bigger can of worms than we were asked to look at.
It's just, I try to avoid the impression, wait a second, I want to avoid the impression that while the group is still working on the options, we are already budgeting for a preconceived
Yeah.
kind of solution, which might kind of boil emotions a little bit. I'm just,
Well, in the project overview and the capital request,
yeah,
the language is the Peabody School assets were transferred to the town's control at the 2025 town meeting. The town is actively evaluating options for this property, including having it repurposed to allow for consolidation of various town departments' functions as may be deemed appropriate. So that's the lead off language in there. Then such a consolidation could allow for reuse or disbursement of other town-owned assets such as, yeah, basically it. So we'd have to go back and reevaluate costs associated with the other buildings. And it's really too big of a task for us to do. That's why we looked at one building.
Why didn't you choose that building?
Because it has a strong probability of being successful in the function. Many towns have reused schools for offices, office space. Consolidation, saving operations budget over 30 years. It's a pretty standard move by most towns.
Chris, from your experience on the FinCom, what,
I don't know, I was gonna ask Bob, is there, from a statutory perspective, do you think we could have sort of a more general category? I've never seen that, but I don't know, Bob, if you know, if you had any conversations with Carrie about it.
Unfortunately, I don't have anything to add on that question at this point.
I haven't ever seen it, so, usually it's very specific to the
so
capital.
then if you just do the counter argument,
Yeah.
because we have 18 different buildings.
Yeah,
So we then have to, for a renovation approval, and always do it for one
you
specific
could-
building.
yeah, you could
This-
say,
You could change this language to say, or other buildings as may be deemed appropriate.
or
I
you,
think that would be better to see this as a general.
or you
placeholder.
put in for 750 for facilities, right?
General fund, yeah, general
General.
maintenance, yeah.
Yeah, so he put in 750 for general maintenance.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
buildings aren't.
No, I understand, but
that.
that covers everything, so you could
Yeah.
make that number bigger.
Yeah.
As opposed to, a line item, you could say for 2027, we know we have a number of options, so for that year, it's gonna be 3 million, I know, whatever you want the number to be, I think that could work.
Mhm.
But you have to talk to the financial people. But I've never seen this, usually it's laid out very clearly in the capital.
You're in the subgroup. What do you think?
Are you calling on me?
Yeah.
Um. The whole issue of buildings, I mean, it's a moving target right now. We're really early. Than multiple options. I think we're going to need some money at some point. The FinCom is in the process of looking at reserve accounts, stabilization accounts, et cetera. I don't know if this is better as a capital request or setting up a special fund for building and how that's done. I like the idea to keep some flexibility. It's not clear we would know if and where we're going with Peabody and the other buildings.
Yeah.
Even by town meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'm worried at town meeting, somebody asks me if we have a firm plan and we don't. So I want to have some plans to back up whatever specific things we're asking for here, and we don't.
We don't.
So if we can be flexible, either through capital, through reserve account, moving, and FinCom is thinking about all these accounts right now. I think we should have money reserved for these purposes.
Yeah, because it's either Peabody or in Croton.
We're going to need some
We
money
need some money
for
for,
some renovation. Hopefully, at some point, we're gonna be balancing the need for money with revenue from maybe the sale or rental of those buildings, but even that's too early right now.
Yeah,
So we're kind of pretty early on the economics of this, of the municipal piece. We could very well need that and more for Peabody, but I mean, as one of the. We rotate the chairs of that subgroup, so every third meeting I'm the chair. So as one third of the chair, I think we are, my advice, we're at the early stage of.
so just to fill you in, Alan, is the 2.5 million on Peabody. If we do this that way, it's linked to Peabody. Yeah, but if, let's say, the land use working group and so on, over the course of the next several months, come to things, well, it's not Peabody, but then we have to put money in other buildings. Then we don't have the flexibility,
So the comment is, can we make it more
More
generic?
saying
And I think
is-
the answer could be certainly, this is a placeholder because it's a starting point. So the good news is we're early in the process, which is why this is a placeholder. I think Russ's, value is based on what, 10% of maybe, or,
Yeah, 10% of estimated cost.
for Peabody, so we don't know. The question is, we might wanna look at that number and see if it was, say, Ripley or something else. What would it cover, and just
Yeah,
understand.
I'd rather have something in the budget.
Yes, yeah,
Than losing it all, and then there's no money to
I
the
think you
alternatives.
should really talk to Kerry or FinCom about a general reserve.
Yeah.
Because that's really what we
Yeah,
need. We
sure.
know we're gonna need money.
Yeah.
So we should start to put something aside. We don't have to
Understood.
have a tag to it, but we know we're gonna need something. I think the town would be open to that too.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do.
Yeah, having a specific capital request. It implies that we know something specific.
Yeah, and you don't.
We really need a reserve
Yeah,
account at some point.
yeah.
So FinCom's in the process of advising the select board just what to do in that
Yeah.
regard, so
That's what I
it's very timely.
okay,
We are gonna need money.
that's right. And this is order of magnitude what we're talking about.
To start.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
Well, no, we understand that.
You-
This is just,
Yeah, yeah.
this is the kind of conceptual preliminary design
Mm.
kind of thing. Right, Russ?
Yep,
And so,
it's based on a square footage and an assumed level of,
so we can
finish.
come up with where did you get the calculation? It's based on X.
So just for the rest of the commissioners who are not following the land use group on a day-to-day basis.
Hour to hour.
Is, so Peabody in one of the consolidation scenarios, Peabody is a core building to consolidate a significant amount of all the different buildings the town has into that one building. And by that freeing up the other buildings, which could be then either kind of repurposed, sold, rented or whatever. So that's one of the scenarios that is looked in. And that's why we have the discussion. Doesn't mean that this scenario will be a recommendation. if that scenario is not a recommendation, we know now already from the building study for several years that all these 18 buildings need also money to renovate and get stuff done. So we need money no matter what.
Just one caveat, this timing.
Yeah.
I think Christine knows that, so you put it into a reserve account, stabilization account, you can need town meeting approval. to
Yeah, you
spend
do.
that.
Yeah.
So there may be a way to be more flexible, so you don't have to carry
Yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
maybe free cash is there right now,
I would, yeah.
and, so anyway,
Okay,
I think the next fiscal year, we're gonna need some money for something, whether it's PVD or.
for something, yeah.
Make that available for something.
So I'll circle back.
Listen,
Gary.
we need some money for something. 2.5 million. Okay, sorry to sidetrack on this one.
Those were good questions.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just sort of following
Those
along?
facilities, yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to,
Engineering.
Bob, are you advancing or who's controlling this? Bob's got it. Okay, great. Bob, you can, take us to. We just were facilities. The next one is engineering, I believe.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, so. Steve Dukern, you want to speak to?
Sure. FY 27, we're asking for about $3.6 million for 11 very specific projects. Specific, not for something.
No, I see, yeah.
Yeah.
So not just
Yeah.
looking for something.
People paying attention. All right, you see where we asking for, what we ask for some projects that we do on an annual basis. And then we have specific projects that we identified with costs. So I'll just run through from the very top. The first one is the asset management tools. We've been coming here asking and making the case and Sven is supporting us and making others understand it. Until we get a good asset management program, we really cannot plan our capital properly. So currently we are looking at a lot of different asset management tools together with water and wastewater. And hopefully during this fiscal year, we'll have something in place. So the FY 27 request for $30,600, that is for continued software support. So it's a smaller request this year, so we can continue with that effort in asset management. The next one on the list here is the culverts and bridges, culvert and bridge repairs. The stormwater utility revenue will cover the immediate needed maintenance and operations of the stormwater facilities, the MS4 program, and really putting together what our future program is. That revenue does not cover these larger projects like culvert replacements, culvert repairs and bridges. And so that's why we have a
Was it
request.
supposed to? Is that our hope that over time it does, or
Over time, as we build reserves.
5 years out or so? Or
Yes.
That's when hopefully you have a balance and you can start to use it. Okay.
Yes, but in the meantime, we have to prepare for the worst.
Mhm.
And we do have some culverts that are in failing mode.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a request.
Yeah.
there, okay?
You might get, I would suspect you'll get that question, right? Why
there will
why is it
be,
in the
yes,
budget
and-
twice,
And
right?
we've talked about sort of the kind of minor repairs along the way are covered within the existing enterprise. This is above and beyond, and eventually
Right.
we may catch up.
I would make
Yes.
sure you're hopefully telling them
yeah.
that, because I think they'll push back. on
Correct.
it.
Third on the list is the landfill monitoring. It's an annual request. We put it in the capital, but we've since been advised in the operation, so this is gonna go away from the capital.
So that raises, sorry,
Yeah.
that monitoring and also you said on an asset management tool, this is software support. Are we typically capitalizing like support or monitoring stuff.
No.
It's,
You should not be, so I was glad to see you took it out. I was gonna tell you you need to take it out.
yeah, but on
Yeah.
the asset management tool, it's software support, we said. Or is it buying new pieces of software, and that's why it's in the capital plan?
In
I
this,
didn't know.
in this case, it's surface support.
Yeah.
And it may involve,
It's an operating.
equipment,
Yeah.
software.
Operating.
So it should be in the operating
It's in
budget.
the Operating budget, yeah, not here.
We're talking about a 3% to the guideline. Something like this in the operating budget is gonna throw us way over the required increase.
You know, we haven't, we were not.
$31,000 is gonna throw you way off?
Yeah, the engineering division's operating budget is pretty lean.
Okay, but it's not a capital item. I don't mean, you guys,
Yeah, yeah,
you can talk to Kerry about it, but I would keep it in my operating budget. And I understand if you know, if you have to fit it in, but again, it's a small item. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it, but.
All right.
FinCom
Well, and
may
it-
ask
but
you that
what's
question.
really interesting though, and it's
Yeah.
important to underscore, with the engineering budget and allowance, it's pretty lean, and so any change
Yeah.
is just significant, and, so, but I hear you as
You
far
can
as.
tell them,
Yep.
you have operating costs and here they are,
Yep.
right? I would tell them I need it,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
it's up
fair
to you,
enough.
it's up to you.
I got it. So then parking lot rehabilitation, the request in FY 27, $370,000 is for improvements on at 133, 135, 141, Coswood, where we are here. It's sort of like what we can do to keep this campus operating properly. In terms of pavement, the pavement is degrading. We want to make some improvements in circulation and parking. And there's one major item that's kind of unknown right now. It's an underground cistern. We have to spend some money evaluating that. Could have equipment there. We don't know what the result would be. So anyway, that's what we want to focus in FY 27. What we can do in this parking lot to keep us going while changes in the land use.
And important to note, we have 19 parking lots that we're responsible for maintaining, so we want to cycle them in a way so they're not all sort of being refurbished, rehabbed at the same time.
For pedestrian and bicycle safety, we're requesting in FY 27, $750,000 now. Immediately people question, oh, we just got 25 for paving and 2.5 million for road and safety. I mentioned this the last time we were here. The needs for pedestrian and bicycle safety far exceed the 2.5, which has been given over a 5-year period. The sidewalk condition alone, the backlog on that, current backlog is approaching $6 million. So this is an attempt to try and work on that backlog.
This is the 325.
750
Where's
for,
the 750? Because I don't see it on the slide. What am I missing?
that's why.
He's on traffic signs, so this
Oh.
slide, sorry, it covers, what was presented to the, FinCom.
Okay,
Doesn't have all of our items, Steve's
Oh, okay, I
going
get
through
you.
all of the
Okay.
items.
all the items,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So the 724 that's in FY 27, that's what you're talking about?
that's what I'm talking
I
about.
see, okay,
Okay.
sorry.
So wait a minute.
It's in the 10-year plan, the schedule for FY 27, third from the bottom there, 724. That's what Steve's talking about.
Wait a minute.
Is that it? No? Sidewalk is up above.
No, sidewalk is 1.25
I know,
million, which is,
that's, yeah,
This is pedestrian and bicycle safety, is that what you were talking about, Steve?
yeah, but it,
that's
I
1,250,000.
apologize for, there's a discrepancy.
yeah. So is in the 1,250,000, is there 500,000 debt exclusion in?
Oh, for chapter 90, is that the difference? You're assuming 750 plus spending from chapter 90?
It is, I think the roll up there, the 1.25, that is including what's already appropriated in the 5-year
Yeah,
program.
exactly.
Oh, okay, you found that earlier.
Yeah, so that's why I think you have to highlight that in here.
That should be in red as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so the actual request for new monies in 27 is 750,000.
Okay,
Okay,
so you have to make that transparent.
yeah.
And what we're trying to do again, I'm not sure, I'm sorry I missed the beginning. we're working on this ClearGov tool, so you're seeing the first draft of our, what will be public facing, so
The
people,
memo
you know, in the memo.
in the 10-year.
Yeah, so basically, when you go to ClearGov, or anybody goes to ClearGov, they're gonna see this same description. So it allows them to understand what's the program, it's a roll-up, they wanna look at it, what is it for? So, this is our new tool to be, you know, it started last year, but we're just building on it and cleaning it up and trying to standardize it. So, you know, this is, as you look at it, and if you have comments, or, you know, even, this isn't baked yet. It's baked once it's finalized and then published online, and that's gonna take some months.
Yeah.
So that's where we're in right now. So this is the feedback we need.
Site could be bigger.
What's that?
Site could be bigger.
Well, that's just a
Oh, yeah.
program issue. When you're online, it's gonna be what it's gonna
8
be.
is on or something, or 6 or something, yeah, that's kind of not just.
You don't
Like
just agree.
So you didn't go through with FinCom the 750, you didn't include that on your slide?
We didn't, so we did not present to the FinCom. We
Okay.
just, the finance
This is-
department took our,
Oh, okay.
our input.
And they
And
did
this was
something.
presented as a first draft, and they selected what they thought was important.
Okay, okay. I get it.
Okay,
And when are we gonna talk about this 10-year thing? Later? These spreadsheets, at some point, you're gonna go talk to someone about your 10-year capital plan, right? Isn't that meeting where, or Terry goes to talk to the school and the FinCom, they all get together to talk about long-term. capital?
yeah, so basically you talked about the schedule up front?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in
Yeah.
that schedule.
Yeah,
And we'll just be,
okay, but this is the material that's gonna go, this thing that I'm looking at?
as we're it'll be finalized
Okay.
before we go there, yes.
So,
Yes.
all right, so I just have a couple of questions and I don't wanna bog you down, but I just, and you can tell me, everybody else knows this already, but. So under pedestrian safety and bike improvements, right, so that number out for 10 years is $10 million, Steve, right?
Right.
Right, so $10 million over 10 years for that stuff, so the funding of that is gonna be. Where from the general fund somewhere? Where are we gonna get the 10 million? So I know 2 million, we're gonna get
2.5.
2.5 plus hopefully some chapter 90, right? But
Yeah,
this
over the
assumes,
next 5 years,
Yeah.
that's sort of what we have.
right, but this assumes pretty much ongoing $1 million a year for sidewalks. Does that make sense? Is that really what we're gonna
That
spend in the
is-
sidewalks?
That's
Wow,
the plan,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah, and Chris, our interest and always has been, we're telling the town what the needs are,
yeah,
knowing that they're not all gonna be
Right.
funded.
yeah, I think that's.
But we have to
Right.
just put it out
Yeah,
there
you
as far
do.
as when you say, where's
do.
the money gonna come from?
Right.
That's really for FinCom, the
Yep.
finance department to help us understand.
Yeah, that's a lot of dough,
Yeah.
okay. That's a lot.
Yeah, we have, the assets that we're responsible for are, you know,
Yeah,
most
no,
of
they're
the
big.
town budget
Right.
on the school.
Right, and on the road, so it says for FY 26 that you were gonna spend 7.5 million out of the borrowing, so we have half of the year left. Are you really gonna spend 7.5 million, or is that? You know, that doesn't
26.
sound like you're gonna spend it.
Well,
In other words, the number
it.
for FY 27
That's
could be bigger, that's what I'm trying to
the
understand.
26 will be at least 5.
Okay, but
Yes.
you could have some pushover to 27.
One of the things that prepped into our schedule was having the ballot question
Right.
in August.
Right.
So
No, I understand why, I'm just saying, when you present it, right, I wouldn't be showing 7.5 million if I think I'm gonna spend 5, I'd be
Adjust it.
pushing it, yeah,
Yeah.
into 27.
Because then you're still five times 5, 25, so that's still. It's
So-
just, mhm, yeah.
And it may take you longer than you think to get it
That's right.
done, right, so
That's
that's what
right.
I'm just saying, show them what you really think.
Mhm.
Okay, let me see if I have anything else on that one.
Yeah, just on that overview, make sure that on the pedestrian safety and bike improvement, it's clear what is in the debt exclusion authorization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was it for me on the engineering, thank you.
That's helpful, thank you.
Okay.
So I think we're good, Steve, you don't have to go through,
No.
the real issue is the highlights, and I think what's really the most important thing for the community and the commission to know is, well, we have a good source of funds for pavement management as well as safety, pedestrian work. It's not for everything, and so we still need to account for the money that it doesn't cover. And we are gonna hear people say, well, I thought didn't we just
Yeah.
borrow all this money? The
Yeah.
answer is we borrowed the money for these reasons and, you know, we have to be very clear as far as what our commitment is.
Right,
And, Chris, you had mentioned earlier, how do we know if engineering sort of spending this money wisely or we're realizing
Right.
this? The overarching metric is PCI.
yep.
Mhm.
for the
We
road.
know, and
Right.
Steve says, if I'm gonna get to 86, I need to spend this money. If we start taking that away, that's not what we told the town we
No,
would be
that's right.
doing.
That's
We
right.
still have to account for those other
Right.
costs. So I think that's really important for the commission
Yep.
and we need to, you know, broadcast that as much as possible.
It's the same thing for traffic improvements. You have another 8.3
Exactly.
million there. That's a big number outside of what we've already borrowed. but That's
Exactly.
on top of it.
Exactly.
So painting that picture of here's the deferred maintenance all over the place,
Yep.
whether it's facilities or it's roads. That picture has to get, I think, burned into people's minds. So I would keep talking about what's the deferred maintenance versus new programs, because
Okay.
you have both, right?
And you're the fuel we need because you've been talking this way, almost getting somewhat little. We keep doing it, but you're right, we're not gonna stop.
Right.
And I think we do need that. encouragement.
Deferred maintenance is liability.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a T-shirt.
No, I think it has to be clear, it's kicking the can down the road comes with a price.
That's right.
Can be our motto.
Okay, so the next, hi, Bob, you're here, welcome.
My doppelganger is back at the ranch running thing.
Can we move, okay, excellent.
Technology would walk.
Like magic, it's moved. Aaron, you wanna come back up, please, and walk us through the high level on, your program, and part of the program is not just the cost, but the impact of some of the things we do. Sometimes they're not the biggest ticket items, but you need to be aware of them because the community can be aware of, what we're doing, so. You got for highway.
So good evening again, Aaron LaPosco, Highway and Ground Superintendent. So, for highway, all of the items listed, excluding the $10,000 on the capital outlay, which is for small tools and equipment. Think of like plate compactors, road saws, small, tools that, are a significant investment last, up to possibly 5 years. That's an annual ask, $10,000 within the highway. The rest of the items are all fleet equipment. Specifically, within that, there's a request for $20,000 for trailer replacement, $50,000 for replacement of a Ford Escape, $55,000 for purchasing a new Ford Transit van, $100,000 for a John Deere tractor, replacing a John Deere tractor, $150,000 to replace a log chipper, wood chipper, two $400,000 asks to replace 6-wheeler dump trucks that are also plow trucks and sanding trucks. That totals the requests. So we do have a 10-year capital replacement plan for our fleet. It's actually built out a little bit farther than that. Lists our full fleet schedule. And then within the budget narrative packet, you would see the copies from ClearGov, which Alan has referenced, the detail kind of our fleet replacement plan and our schedule and how we tier replacement vehicles. All our vehicles are dropped into tiers for replacement based on vehicle type. And we are more, I would say, conservative than the American Public Works Association fleet replacement schedule. We try to extend the life of our vehicles through good maintenance practices and inspections. We invest heavily in our operating budget for vehicle maintenance and equipment and supplies. The number of things like undercoating the bodies, doing major kind of refurbishments of trucks is needed to extend those lives of those especially the larger trucks that you have such a significant investment in. So that's what the summary for highway.
And how do you come up with the amount?
The amounts are based on real costs and trucks. We're buying these type of trucks every year. So, we have.
Those are current prices.
Yeah, those are current prices. I do put a 5% escalator year over year in the
Okay.
capital plan that goes out in the 10-year plan. So if you were to look and see, all right, the price of those big trucks is going up every year.
Mhm.
So that's what we've seen. Current trucks that we're buying, we have 3 of those. I call them the heavier duty trucks, the H32 and H33 that are being built right now. Last year capital plan awarded us, purchase of one, $375,000 is what we asked.
What's the lead time? Is it a year to get this?
It depends, you know, we've seen, improved lead times. There was a time where our orders all got canceled, when there was a restriction on diesel emissions recently, and then that was walked back more recently, which now has allowed, manufacturers to continue manufacturing those types of motors and trucks. And so, our lead time realistically on one of those trucks right now is upwards of a year. From the time that we order it, to the time that we receive it. And that's because we order it from manufacturer, and we'll get the cab and chassis of the truck, and then it goes to a specialty upfitter and gets a second upfit
For you.
and makes it for us for our needs. So if you go to those, you know, you see all the city trucks and all the commercial trucks, kind of all hundreds of them lined up in the yard in different phases of assembly. And it takes a while to get those trucks in, so, yes.
Can I ask a quite, maybe a naive question, but what assumptions do you make about the, I don't call it the trade-in value, but the scrap value or the value of a used truck? How does that factor into the budget?
I look at it as kind of gravy, right? Anything that we can get for scrap value or surplus value, whether typically we trade in our trucks. We look at real cost, assuming that truck, we're gonna run it to its end of life typically. And we might not get that much for it. I don't bank on getting top dollar on these trucks. By the time we're done with them, you know, 15 years later, they've seen, you know, better days. Most of them, a lot of our trucks get to the point where they are no longer able to pass inspection without significant investment. Talking tens of thousands of dollars to either investments in the motor or the frame, because they're just rotted out from, you know, a lot of our trucks and all of our trucks in fleet are frontline plow vehicles. They're out all storm plowing. A lot of them have salt spreaders on the back and are deploying salt. You know, we have a great maintenance team, and the whole public works team is involved in washing trucks post-storm. Every storm, they're back here. We're emptying sanders. We're washing all of our trucks. We have a wash rack out back. We're cleaning and maintaining these things every storm, regardless the rot and the wear and the tear happens on these vehicles. And like I said, we extend the life of all of our vehicles well beyond APWA standards. So by the time we're done with them, the value is really low.
In the layer and the fact that they're not in covered storage, that's one of the challenges we've identified on this campus, that many of these big vehicles are outside year round.
Yeah, you know, I invite the commissioners, feel free after the meeting, exit right and go around the building, you're gonna see all the trucks sitting out there. And you'll see various states of trucks. You see some newer trucks that look very nice, and you see some of our older trucks that are ready to be traded.
So the ones that you're asking, they have they're under your policy.
Yeah.
It's outside.
They've exceeded it.
It's within your policy.
And one thing that we do is we do try to carry with the water wastewater. If they've served their useful life, we'll extend it and sort of repurpose them into highway grounds to get the maximum. And then so that's why the trade-in is usually pretty de minimis.
Yes, a lot of the water and sewer vehicles don't see some of the frontline plowing, which really takes a toll on these trucks and pieces of equipment. So we'll, like Alan said, you know, if they're done with them and they're replacing them, we'll use them for a couple of more years before they get traded in. So.
Yeah, and then the other one, the 10-year plan, very important historically. We'd find it's easy to just say, well, that piece of equipment, that's 350,000. Can we just push it a year? Well, if you don't know what you're pushing it into, it's easy, but all of a sudden you're compiling this, you know, look at what we've got.
Right.
So that,
Yeah.
You don't want to create.
Exactly.
Right?
And I would tell you, you know, we follow, we have the criteria of our tiers, and we set our plan to meet that. Last year, we asked for close to $1 million of equipment, and we got one truck and 2 lawnmowers. So, you know, and those things kind of continue to get pushed out, and that causes us every year to re-review our plan and reset everything, and everything continues to get, you know, deferred out.
I'm also gonna highlight, and this is not ideal. We would like to get all of our equipment sort of, you know, we talk about electrification of fleet. We talk about sort of some of the equipment like our mowers and getting the green mowers and sort of battery versus they're 3 times the cost for some of this equipment. And we're not in a position to not have the equipment. So regrettably, we'll then end up investing in, you know, sort of rather than what we'd like to get, or the town through sustainability, we still gotta maintain the field. So that's one of the gives and takes, you know, that we kind of flag. And it's Not that we want to do, but we need to.
Yeah, and with some of that fleet electrification, a lot of it early on, you know, we were early adopters. A lot of it some of it came from grant money. Some of our smaller equipment, these mowers that we have, that grant money is no longer available. And when these things are at end of life, they're very expensive to replace and maintain. And so we're looking at, okay, what's best for the town as a whole, right? How do we maintain a level of service with the funding level that we're actually provided?
Okay, good.
Can I just ask a question? What would be the cost that we could save if we could actually put them under a roof? I mean, is it a big difference? I mean, if we have 18 buildings, we don't know what to do with, we can make one into a garage.
None of the problem with that is that there are no buildings, including our own building, that are big enough to fit vehicles. We have vehicles in our fleet that can't physically fit in the building because these buildings were built
Right.
in the 40s and the 50s, and the vehicles were much smaller then.
But if we get, let's just say,
And you could definitely
would it
very
help?
much extend the life. It would improve our operation as well.
So that would be something potentially in the prison area if that goes.
It's one of the scenarios.
Okay.
Anywhere, or new construction, as long as the garage stays or sized to accommodate the equipment of today, that's all. Okay,
That's all I have for highway.
thank you.
The other slide, bro.
Oh, yeah, it's only one program, on to the next, yes.
So park and tree requests, there are a number of park and tree requests, vehicles and other. So within park and tree, we are asking for, replacement of a tractor and the chipper that I mentioned. Those are actually park and tree funded items. Then we also have $10,000 with small equipment, similar things, saws, blowers, other tools that we use, for the maintenance and operations, typically funded out of O&M. And we are also asking for, tree planting money. That was something that was cut from our budget for FY 26. We didn't receive any money for tree planting this year. We're looking to hopefully get that funded back in the budget.
It's operating, yeah. It's operating budget.
Capital tree planting money
To buy the trees.
to buy the trees
Okay.
and plant trees if needed.
Oh, that's the 50K here?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's consistent with what we've been trying to do, but it's not an annual.
So actually, so FY 26 was the first year it wasn't funded. It had historically been funded prior to that. No.
With an infusion of the 250 trees.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
250 in the budget for
right.
that, yeah, so.
The desire is much more than that. We know that, and we're that regularly, so. Okay, next, any questions on park and tree? Okay, Aaron?
Yeah, one more. Cemetery request. So these slides, I've already provided some feedback to finance and we have a meeting with them tomorrow to go through our requests in detail. The bottom item is actually a highway item, so that's gonna come out of cemetery and go and move to the highway capital request. I just wanna kind of make a note of that. So that tier 1 item is actually a highway item, not cemetery. And we'll get that corrected moving forward, but, so that's a screener plant, it's another piece of equipment that we use down at the compost facility, the land, site where for the composting operation, we collect yard waste, from residents in town. And we process that in those windrows, we turn that throughout the year, we screen it, and then are able to provide compost to residents and all the local farms that they request, and then surplus it out. It's a great operation. And so the screener plant is a vital piece of equipment for that operation, it's out of service, and we need to replace that. The other request, the tier 2 item, there's a detailed sheet in your packet. We are working with so highway and ground staff, myself and Steve Duper from engineering are working with a consultant on a lot expansion project in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. That's something that's been, communicated at the cemetery committee, and they've been involved in that part of the master plan of expanding lots and making more lots available at the Knoll section of that. So the cost is really for, the area's already cleared, and it's grass turf area. If somebody went there, they would just maybe assume that there's lots available. They're not laid out, and there's no road infrastructure, utility infrastructure to support the sale of those lots. So the cost is to grade and create roads in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, install stormwater infrastructure and irrigation water infrastructure, in that area, and that would provide, over 750 single grade, 2 grade lots to be sold. So,
And they essentially hire you as a contractor. They pay for this, not the general fund.
That's also my next question.
Right?
So,
Okay.
yeah, so we've had discussions with town manager and finance and are working through kind of funding and general cemetery fund has been funding itself, yes. For the last few years now. Prior to that, there was a contribution from general fund of 70, 30, 65, 35 split depending on the year. But the last few years, it's been 100% general fund
And what's it
contribution.
gonna be for 27?
We are having that conversation right now. We,
So is
we'll
there,
be answering this question, but it's, for public works.
is there a separate reserve fund for this?
Yes, well, yeah, there is a.
Maybe on their
separate fund.
books, not on the town's
It-
books that I was
It's,
very.
it's through the perpetuary care fund and, what's the other, that's where the most of the money is. We're working through, you know, what has been a little bit challenging for us. We've never had all of the information as far as how to manage not just the operations, but also the capital planning. So we're in discussion, trying to understand that 850 capital, can that be carried through the cemetery? Does that need town support to realize? That will be discussed and, you know, very clearly as far as just so the town knows what the plan is and.
Yeah, it's a mix
why
of,
it's being
the
presented.
cemetery fund going to the trustees and asking for a distribution from the perpetual care fund. And working with finance to determine if there's any other funds that'd be available to.
I mean, it's a revenue item for them, right?
Yeah.
So
What's
you
your
can't
lot?
just get the cost and they get the revenue, right?
Well,
What's your lot inventory right now?
our lot inventory. So the cemetery committee, we have about 3 years left of lot inventory at our current sale rate right now. At the September 1st meeting, the cemetery committee put a moratorium on the sale of lots to at need only. So, in order to purchase a lot in Sleepy Hollow, a individual need to have a current need in order to purchase a lot. So, what
Right. But the revenue goes to them.
do you mean by them? It is also us. So when cemetery is part of Public Works.
Well, you do work for them, but whoever is collecting the lot fee is not Public Works, is it?
Yes.
Oh, you
But
are?
you know,
Yes.
in essence, we're managing the
Yeah,
asset.
so the cemetery is under highway and grounds. It's an operation within my division.
Okay, so we need to understand the
Yeah,
cash flow then.
yeah, I need
Yeah,
to
so-
understand
so-
why you want $850,000. What are you gonna get from it?
There's,
Well,
there's no lots available.
No, I
There's
get
very
that.
few. Okay.
To allow for additional lot sales
Yeah,
for the foreseeable future.
Correct.
And that revenue then gets eventually put back into operating costs, you know.
Correct.
As well as the perpetual care.
yeah.
So we'll have this,
Anyway,
Yeah.
you need to explain to me how that works.
Yeah, I would love to understand that
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
I
You
guess.
have a lot.
no, and
How to-
we would also, we're at the table for, you know, I'd say the first time since I've been director, actually have this conversation. So it's not just,
Okay,
we will provide
Because-
detail.
you cannot make a decision or a proposal without knowing the cash flow.
We don't disagree.
Okay,
Okay. Excellent. Aaron, anything else on, okay, no, we're gonna go to,
yep.
yep, go ahead.
One question related to that step to enterprise fund. Why don't we show the stormwater enterprise fund in the enterprise fund section?
Bob, remind me, just my head is,
Because at the time we were doing this, the Stormwater Enterprise Fund had not been set up in ClearGov.
In the
So we can
system,
Enter it separately.
it's not set up in the system, you say?
Yeah. It's not, it wasn't set up. It, you know, statutorily, we've created it, but as far as being able to enter it using the ClearGov tool that they did.
Yeah.
It wasn't there yet, so for placeholders, we put it there. ClearGov Stormwater actually went live earlier today, so it's.
So that will
we
move
be
then.
Moving them
Okay,
over, you know.
all right,
I mean, and bear in mind too, also with the cemetery request, out of the charge with the long range capital planning committee now have been to put all of your capital requests in, where they ultimately get funded from and all of that sort of stuff gets worked out through the process. So when you're seeing a preliminary document like this is our effort to get everything out on the table, and then those parts will get moved around during this process.
okay.
okay, great. Darren, you wanna come on up?
The real estate.
Okay. Fair enough, no problem. Still got it on.
Good evening, there on the plan, water and sewer superintendent. I'd like to take 5 seconds to just point out that Bob's last full-time day is Friday. I've
No,
only had the chance to work with Bob for 6 months, so I can only imagine how much these folks that have worked with him for.
Who's
7
running the
years-
slideshow then?
He's stealing my
Who's running the slides then?
My successor, Paula.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So is there a celebration for you, Bob?
I'm not supposed to know.
Anyway, Darren, want to get to the budget, please?
But
Yeah.
I'm just trying to distract you with.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us if we're in the Super Bowl yet?
I'm still basking in the Patriots victory.
Aren't we all?
You're gonna start to see a lot of numbers flying around when we're talking about the water and sewer department. Starting with the sewer department first, we are starting to try to account for possible spending at MCI. So that is a category that is identified in our capital plan. Just want to point that out because, it's gonna lead to some big numbers and it's not a done deal yet.
That's the same question that you had
Yeah, that's
earlier.
why-
That's
same
the exact
conversation
same
you had.
thing for us to put-
Yeah, but this is where it's more specific to the MCI.
Yeah, and we've already sort of made
Facility.
a bid on that facility.
It's called out in the
Or told-
legislation that we can, independent of,
The rest of it,
the rest of the redevelopment.
we can have a
It's,
separate.
we can have a separate
negotiation for that.
agreement to own and
For waste
operate that
facility.
facility. So we are making
Okay.
provisions to do that. We
Yeah.
need to account for it. But as Darren said, this is right now getting it, some numbers on paper that we can defend. We're still in negotiations as far as, is this out of pocket for the town? How much would be out of pocket for the rate, the enterprise? Or how much is the state gonna contribute? So those are all in play, but we're just capturing the numbers so that we can at least negotiate. Okay? I think Darren, the other thing overarching with the enterprise, and to remind the commission, we do use, because it's, both, it's supported by the revenue. It's very important we capture and do this 10-year financial pro forma for both, of these utilities. We mentioned that with Bob, sort of as the kind of puppet master behind of all this on a very complex spreadsheet, which includes all sorts of
You know, you're
values.
stealing my thunder.
Go ahead, Darren, you can pick up on that. Because that sets the table for what did we propose for capital?
Yeah.
As well as operating, but the numbers, Darren, if you wanna.
So we're gonna talk about sewer and water budgets, and I just wanna say that we knew Bob was gonna be leaving, so we adopted this financial forecasting software called Waterwork. And we have it standing up on the water side. So when we get to the water numbers, there's a lot of good news. There are some big numbers because we have a lot of regulatory compliance issues to address. We have structures to build, treatment processes to put in place to meet these requirements. The good news is Alan knew this was coming, and for years they've been planning on this. Retained earnings are up. They've been collecting nuts for a bad winter. The bad winter is here, or as Alan liked to call it when he was recruiting me, the golden era of Concord water and sewer.
Yeah.
The financial, the Waterworth software is not set up yet. Paula's working really hard to help us get there with Waterworth, and we're close. So I'm gonna be able to enter all these numbers into the Waterworth software soon, and we'll start doing financial forecasting for the sewer side. And that's going to be interesting because you can see what a variable MCI is. So we're gonna start having numbers for you there on that side soon. The good news is when we get to the water side, I think most, if not all of the money for all this future spending that you see has already been appropriated to us. And we've already forecasted how we're gonna pay for it. So a lot of good news there. We wanna get you good news on the sewer side similarly in the near future, as far as the forecasting goes. Looking at a sewer spending, again, we have some big ticket items. We have the whole MCI uncertainty, but we're trying to forecast what that could look like. We're trying to be responsible, knowing what those costs could be and when they would occur. Looking at our existing wastewater treatment plant, it's aging. It's, I think, 23 years old now. 20 years is the life cycle of a treatment plant where you start to have costs occurring. So we're starting to budget normal maintenance costs there. We're also looking at possible ways to increase capacity there, to get the state or the EPA to increase our permit capacity. And one of those ways is groundwater injection. So if you look at our future forecasting for our existing plant, you can see $11 million going towards capacity planning at that plant.
So that's the existing plant.
That's the
Yeah.
existing
So
plant.
would you do both? That was my question. So would you do both MCI and that?
We're looking at every
Or
option.
would you do either
We,
or?
we'd phase it depending on the
Okay.
need. You know, we,
Okay.
we don't want to go to the next level of creating capacity if we really don't need it.
Right,
But we want to make sure we know what that would be and what the cost would be.
right. So it's a loaded budget.
Yes,
It's loaded,
It's
but we're
loaded,
trying to
okay.
account for every possibility so that if we take that route, it's already,
Yeah.
accounted for.
Okay.
Other things that we're doing spending on is some due diligence on inflow and infiltration. We're spending $275,000 next year and continuing our investigation and repair of our existing sewer. Obviously, that's a vital role in reducing the flow to the wastewater treatment plant, so we stay under our permit capacity. And we've had good luck with that this year, although weather might have played a role in that. We were going to do grit and drain piping repair this year, but we've swapped around due to some priorities. We're gonna replace some drives for the clarifiers this year, and next year we're gonna do the grit and drain repair. And next year we're gonna be, and when I say next year, I mean fiscal year 27. We have some odor control media replacement forecast. So a lot of big numbers, a lot of planning to optimize and figure out, and I'm excited to plot our future with Alan on the wastewater side.
So based on the budget presented when we set sewer fees. This fits
this is
in.
consistent. And this is where the water worth is gonna allow us to determine, when and how do we need to adjust rates.
Yeah,
But this is
but this is
consistent.
consistent with what was presented when we set.
That is, yes.
Okay.
And that's what we want to, sort of work through before we go to town for the hearings to modify this. Some of these things are, the schedule is gonna be driven by when are they most efficiently, kind of realized. But with the wastewater, the other thing that's important is only a third of the town are supporting the enterprise. So the numbers are not distributed across town, and so we're very mindful of cost. But I will tell you, wastewater, just like drinking water, it's not just cost, it's availability, which is becoming increasingly difficult for the region. It's a constraint in a lot of communities. And so, those who have wastewater service, are fortunate. There are people in, development that would like to have it that we can't accommodate right now. So it's.
There's a lot of frustration around Massachusetts with water and sewer providers, with the state forcing affordable housing and not making the appropriate plans for utilities, including water and sewer for that affordable housing.
We've already made public that we had this 12.5% rate increase on the water.
On the water side.
Water side.
On the sewer, it was much more modest. It
Yeah.
was like 4 or 5%.
Right.
And until and I think, what we will know is once we get the water worth up and running and run the pro forma and look at the various scenarios, that's what we need to look at.
Right.
What would be the rate changes resulting from the different scenarios?
Yeah,
And the biggest rate change most likely would be in the sewer improvement fee.
That's it, yeah, another rate, that's not for user, that's not for your actual use, that's
for the
for the new
connection.
customers, and
Yeah.
yes, we are
They get
looking
hit with
at
when
that.
They wanna come on.
And in
they come
fact,
on.
thank you, Sven, we may even come back to the commission sooner rather than the annual rate hearing to evaluate that sewer improvement fee based on real-time information.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's worth knowing.
In the near future, you folks will be viewing water worth graphs that show different scenarios and financial trends, and it'll be able to tell you instantly what our options are and how we're gonna account for them.
Good.
We have done that on the water side, and no offense, Bob, but when I saw all the spending that we had planned and all the money that we had appropriated, and I saw the 12.5 a year, I was really curious to plug it into Waterworth and see what it plotted. And I confess, I was shocked when it was right on the money. Your 12.5 covered it perfectly.
Good.
Don't think that'll happen in sewer.
Well, you're 1 for 1 so far. We'll see
So
what
we're
happens.
going from the slide rule to the computer, that's
Yeah.
all, so, in any event, they should match.
So any questions on sewer before we jump over to water?
Nope.
I guess it's Paula or Linda running the show.
All right,
There we go. Again, a lot of big numbers here. As I said, the good news is, I think, most, if not all of this money has already been appropriated. Most, or if not all of this money has already been accounted for and how we're gonna pay for it. So that's the comforting news. We are starting to get active in addressing a lot of these, regulatory issues that we need addressing. We're in the process of contracting an engineer to work on the design of 2 PFAS treatment facilities at U Cargill and Second Division wells. What's interesting about that is one of those wells has more concentration of long chain PFAS compounds and the other has more short chain. Typically, long chain is better removed with activated carbon and short chain with ionic resins. But do you really want 2 different filtration plants? Because that adds complexity and maintenance cost to your system. Also of interest is one of those wells has a high and increasing level of sodium and chloride. So that could point you to a reverse osmosis plant, which is appealing because it's future proof, but it's also the most expensive and wasteful way to treat water. And it has a 10% waste stream. Where are we gonna put the waste if we have a limited sewer capacity? So a lot of interesting things to address here. We're actually gonna go tour some newly built PFAS plants in the coming weeks to see what people liked, what they don't like, what they would do differently. So we can start putting our ideas together for what we end up with here. I don't like handing projects over to engineers. I like working with them to come up with the best solution.
So on the PFAS, this year, fiscal year 26, we took it out of returned earnings.
mhm,
Next year, we are not showing it, but then we show it again out of.
correct,
returned-
it's because of what we have in reserve, we want to, and that's part of how we design the pro forma.
Yeah.
What's coming out in reserve versus when do we borrow, and we wanna take it, we've been putting money aside for this, so the first burn's gonna be from reserve with a certain allowance to have. In the event of, whether it's, Darren, what was the Waterworth model? We used to use like 35% or 30% of our.
I use 70-30 water sewer.
No, this is the amount in reserve
Reserve
that
versus
Waterworth
capital.
recommends.
Oh,
What percentage of
the
your?
12 months of your operating expenses.
Okay.
So I've always gone with 9 months is what I've used as my retained earnings.
Yeah.
Or a target
And where are we
As
now?
your limit.
is where my target, where I want to keep it.
And we're well above that,
Yes, you
Oh,
are.
right now, we're.
Yes,
well above
yes.
that. There is a reason for it,
Yeah.
because we're gonna.
We have a
start
reason,
spending
yeah.
on it.
The winter is coming.
Yes, winter's coming.
And on Nagog,
Or
given
the older
the,
golden years, wherever you
The
want.
golden years, right?
given the
My
curve
retirement is what we're talking about.
on Nagog, facility, given the curveball of the rotary stuff.
There's a lot of uncertainty in these numbers too.
Yeah.
There's actually $3 million built in for a possible land acquisition.
And so that-
Well, I have always perceived one of my strengths is of seeing a complicated situation and finding the best path through it. This is my match. I'm open to any possibilities. I'm open, Alan has suggested investigating land acquisition around Nagog, but there are additional costs associated with that. There's the cost of running a new intake in a different direction versus the cost of rehabilitating a rehabilitated intake.
Yeah.
But if you move the plant to a different location around Nagog, then you have the additional cost of running a water main to your existing infrastructure. But if we build a treatment plant down by the Route 2 rotary, then you have the cost of building a water main, providing water to our Acton customers back up 2A. So there's cost associated with every avenue to the point where I'm considering every option. We just had the New England Waterworks annual conference where I got the chance to sit down with our neighbors from Acton and Littleton and an engineer. And we're actually going to investigate the benefits of a regional approach to water supply with those 2 communities, kind of a subset, a sub-investigation compared to the larger regional approach with the MWRA. Why am I willing to investigate this? Because I know what they're interested in. They're interested in sharing some of our Nagog water with them. But when I see the cost of $42 million to approach Nagog, I'm willing to look at every option, you know? Doesn't mean we're
So-
gonna do it, but let's investigate it.
If there is land acquisition on the table, at least if you narrow something down or whatever, the land use group should be at least aware.
This land, this was not in Concord, this is in Acton,
Oh, it's an act, okay, it's outside Concord.
Little.
that's right. Or-
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Does
then-
NACOG go into
Okay,
little?
so NAGOG, just so everybody understands, is actually a its watershed is in both in Littleton and Acton, right on the border of it. So,
And given, to me, just, I'm new to this, so when I look at it and they say, these two little towns fighting with each other, and now it's gonna cost a whole lot more money than we originally thought, it seems sort of silly.
Yeah, I think Alan would
it's,
agree with you.
silly is not the word I use.
I know, but I'm just, why can't we work it out with them, or why couldn't,
So
the governor or someone say, hey, boys, why don't you play nice, because it doesn't make sense.
Well, we actually went to court.
Yeah, I remember that part.
Yeah, and prevailed, but it delayed us again, but and there's a narrative, and I
Yeah.
hope you look at it
I did.
in.
Get it?
And I'm hoping people will read it.
Yeah.
Because they deserve an understanding.
Yeah.
How do we go from 16.5 million to, 50 million? And it's, yeah, and at the same time, Darren is exploring some things, that Acton is interested in. We want to be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
And we will continue to do the right thing, but just so you're aware, we're discussing providing them with water on a temporary basis as they do upgrades to their facilities.
Yeah.
They're installing PFAS. So we're partnering, but this is with Acton Water District.
Yeah.
Acton Water District is the same district that would not allow the town to tie in to the school, bus depot on the border of Acton.
Mm.
So we're trying to do what we can, turn the other cheek within reason. There's also a request right now, just so you know, for a condominium complex on 2A that is really compromised with water quality issues.
From their well.
From their well, private well, but it's a condominium association. DEP is trying to ask Concord to intervene because it would be less expensive for them to tie into Concord, but we have policies about this, but we're doing what we can to figure out, is there a way that we could work collaboratively? Acton Water District may be a party to this, but it's also the town of Acton that gets the benefit. But Chris, for 30 years, I've been wrestling with, partnership, and then that was,
Yeah.
it's difficult. And the reality is there are real costs, and that's what Darren said, we've explored a lot of
The
options.
2A issue, we're spending $10 million on the 2A for how many homes? What is that for?
That's right,
To
that's for the,
provide water to our existing
to
customers.
continue to
How many
provide
customers?
water, 35 different customers in town of Acton.
One of the ideas to provide water to that condominium complex is to give up our first three customers at the north and northwest end of 2A. That would have benefits that it would make our first customer further from our chlorination point, which should increase our contact time and give us better log removal for for bacteria. So it would help us on the treatment end, and it would also shave 500 feet of water main if we do have to bring water main back up Route 2A.
Mm.
That might not sound like much, but that could be $250,000 to $300,000 worth of water main replacement. So, and I gotta give credit to Melissa, she was the one that gave me this angle to approach Alan to try to make this condo complex a possibility for that.
But this is very in the weeds, but complex, but
Yeah.
a lot of money, so we're putting a lot of time and energy, and I would say what we didn't cover is. Again, this was the FinCom, that, revenue and all that was, these aren't our numbers, the meter replacement program. I'm also interested when we talk capital, what are high impact to the community? And we've only recently identified in the last 6 months. Needs that need to be an investment accelerated at least in FY 26. So we're looking to replace all of our meters within a year to 2.
Which is ambitious, but.
Very ambitious, and that's one more new task that really we couldn't have anticipated 12 months ago.
Mhm.
And part of it was driven by, we had to wait for CMLP to complete their installation 100%. They had to be done before we could start ours, and only as we started, we start learning things
Hmm.
that were kind of real discovery, and this commission had sort of developed some policies when we talked about where the meters weren't functioning, which are very important, and we're kind of leaning on that,
Mhm.
but that's gonna be a high visibility project over the next year and into 27, so we wanna make sure people are aware. Yes, we know it's big money.
Alan told me to leave with that topic. Oops.
No, you led with a different one.
It is gonna be very forward facing.
Yeah.
It has led to some customer issues where we install a new meter, then we have problems with it reading on the electrical system, so we have to go back 2, 3, 4 times, which doesn't make us look very good. So we're very motivated to install the new meters quickly, efficiently, accurately, and get past this hurdle.
Okay, any other questions on one? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
I think we are at the director's report. Aaron, you wanna come on up and see what you can do and
30 seconds.
be efficient, you know, I'm not, I'm not sure, is Paula? Yeah, running Paula, are you able to put up the director's report?
Yep, I'm working on it. Yep,
All right,
working on it
thank
right now.
Okay, great. But we're, leading in, excellent, okay, we can almost see it. In half the screen, Paula, there you go. Thank you.
Aaron LeBosco, Highway Ground Superintendent, overview of some of our activities, in the last month, busy month for, the division as we wrap up summer activities and start getting into the fall activities, get ready for fall sports, leaf cleanup season and prepping for winter, so. First slide, a lot of tree work has been happening, a lot of down trees, emergency tree calls, especially as we kind of wrap up with, call it hurricane season, some high wind events and, nor'easters are coming our way. And just kind of want to highlight some of the great work that the crews do, after hours, during hours, as emergencies or unplanned events come up, we respond regularly. So this is some examples of all of our tree crews out there, removing trees that have fallen and broken, on town property or in the public right of way. Next slide, some more tree work. We had out here, Commonwealth and Main Street, there's a tree that was replaced, it kind of grown into this tree grate, new tree, planting at this location, is working closely with engineering department, in division to reconstruct the sidewalk over there that's kind of heaved and cracked, and it's been a issue for some time. And so we were putting a new tree at that location, first had to kind of remove that one, install a new tree grate, so that's just an active picture of one of our crew leaders working, tree pruning requests come in various ways, and to prune trees, maintain trees. This is a tree, Main Street that was pruned up, not removed. Not only do we do regular pruning and maintenance of trees as well as plantings and removals as needed. And then highlighting some of the equipment we use. This is a new bucket truck that we received early in the summer. There's an operator at the top of the bucket, but just kind of trying it out and testing it. We had the vendor come down and kind of run the crew through how the truck operates. So kind of just highlighting some new equipment with that. So irrigation work, kind of following water and sewer, we've been very aware of some of the constraints and the stress on the municipal water system, especially in the summertime when everyone's running the irrigation. We have a lot of smart, if you will, irrigation systems out there where we have wireless control on monitoring of the systems, and we can time them and shut them down if we see, rain coming through. And kind of monitor the conditions. And so we've spent a lot of time in installing new controllers throughout our systems, throughout the town of Concord and all the fields that we maintain. Most of them have this newer technology. So this is kind of examples of our crews out there, kind of replacing and maintaining the irrigation systems and swapping out some of those controllers with some newer technologies. Some more work, done, on the right-hand side, there's tree planting, and we do some tree watering, there's the water baskets that are out in West Concord. We're partnered with Minuteman Arc, who comes in and waters the baskets throughout the week, we maintain them on the weekends. And then this is an example of, in a stone wall, the right of way that was damaged, and we're able to come out and later on kind of restore and repair for that stone wall. And demoing the mowers, so a capital, at last town meeting, town authorized $35,000 for equipment replacement for Park and Tree. And we are kind of demoing different mowers, and we bring in all different brands and styles and that meet the criteria of what we need to our operation, but there's a variety of brands that can do the job. And we have all our operators gonna try them out, test them out, and demo units are dropped off, and we're able to use them for a few days to see kind of how they operate and get feedback from our operators on their preference. So there's just a couple of examples here. And then this past weekend, some of you may have attended the drop-off swap-off event, large event here in Concord Public Works, shuts down kind of our whole site. It's a zero waste day. We have 2 of them throughout the year. Justine St. John is a program analyst, that, you know, oversees solid waste and recycling programs and initiatives, member of my team, and takes the lead on coordinating this event. We bring in vendors that are residents are able to come through, pay a fee, and dispose of items that they couldn't normally couldn't otherwise get rid of. And for a nominal fee, a lot of the stuff is reused, repurposed, recycled, some of it's disposed. And so there's just some photos highlighting that event. Over 529 customers this past Saturday came through the site. So it's a great event. If you haven't attended, there's a lot of information on the website. Our next one will be in May of 26. And encourage folks to take advantage of that. It's a great program.
It's a very popular program. People like it. They count on it. They expect it. And it really does help where we're trying to manage, waste, from the community. And obviously the trash recycling can only do so much. So this just provides that relief valve for some of the other materials that would be otherwise challenging. But
This was my first year where I volunteered at the event, and people are so excited to come through and
Yeah.
get rid of their cars and stuff.
That's
In fact, some people went through like 2 or 3 times. They're like, I have time to go and get more. And then they would like register and.
I volunteered. It's such a good feeling.
Yeah,
Such a good
everyone's
feeling.
very happy that day.
we brought some nice weather with you.
Yeah,
This
yeah, it was
time.
perfect.
It's a beautiful, beautiful day.
But I would highly recommend.
Yeah. If you're running for office, it's a great place to be.
No,
This time of year, we do line striping, line painting, so the engineering group, really takes the lead on, long lines down the right of way, so that's your center lines and your fog lines, a lot of crosswalks. Arrows, onlys that are painted, and then the highway and grounds team, maintains and paints the parking lots throughout town, so. We do that on overnights, we come through kind of, few nights throughout the season, and see some examples, here that we've.
This one of these needs to be efficient, so rather than pay third party, we had skill set in-house, we got some equipment. And, we're able to sort of make the dollar, stretch the dollar.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
so. Yes, it was outsourced, I think when I started and we brought it in-house and bought the equipment, paint machines and. The crews love coming in and getting the job done, and, we paint lines on fields all the time, right, so it's like similar concept, right, just a different machine and, but, yeah, it's great. And we're able to kind of customize a lot of the locations too, because a lot of them, we have maybe vehicle charging stations at the bottom, and we've had to kind of redesign some parking lots and some parking areas, like this is Beatty. We worked with the school department because they wanted some student-only parking, and we were able to paint the lines different colors and get special stencils so they can number the spots and put some signs in. So it was a nice project we started with them last year and kind of continue to work with recreation and school department on coordinating student parking on that town lot.
Okay, is there any other slides? Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had one question from the report, Alan. It mentions the potential for headcount on sidewalk projects or something, or the traffic safety projects that you might need someone to have a part-time basis to help manage that. Isn't that getting into that?
Steve, can you speak to that, just the quickly on the sidewalk project and some sort of a,
You need headcount or help managing that, that's where it's
Yeah.
at.
Give you references really, looking at hiring outside help.
Yeah, well, I don't know, did it say outside? That's what my question.
It's just part-time.
Yeah, even if it could be
Part-time.
part-time outside help,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
on the contract, that's the plan.
okay. And do we ever, so the bidding process, which is quite a big deal for most of your stuff, whether it's equipment or outside consultants. Do we ever see that process? Is that part of what we look at, or is that something that we're familiar with in terms of how you manage the bidding? Was that done outside of?
so,
here?
we work with procurement up at the townhouse. And in fact, they have some new players that are working with us. In fact, we've started a more regular conversation. In fact, even today, we had, the procurement officer coming to our meeting with the division heads. So we can explain kind of, where we are in planning or design, construction, so they can understand the cycle of work. And each one of them, depending on the scale of project, could involve a different procurement process. So we've started that conversation, and I think we're looking forward to, that ongoing dialogue, just to be
But
more
are you
efficient.
making decision on bids or?
No, it always goes through the town manager ultimately. We make recommendations, but we also get guidance from them as far as what information do we need to compile so
Yeah.
they can then review and
And
approve.
who solicits the vendors?
It depends on the nature of the project. If
Yeah.
it's quotes, it's something we will do based on the industry and who we know is
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
If it's obviously bid, then you just go through, notice and, we've been talking about how we do that and using a system, Project Dog, which is a tool that a lot of vendors use, and it allows you to, they do all the work, they get the list of, individuals who took the project out, they compile the bid tabs, they do all this, and then we just, pay for that service, so it's done conveniently.
It's all electronic.
Yeah,
I see, thank you.
yeah, thanks, and I just wanted to, Andrea, if you could, say, just with Bob
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Bob, you wanna kind of just come on up, just, this is generally, let's say, the man behind the curtain, and we've been always talking about. Yeah, well, it's kind of like.
Behind the screen, behind the screen.
It's like the Bob from Account Temp, we're always talking in here, but Bob has been working with us for almost 8 years. And came in, when I was water sewer superintendent to kind of support me in that program. And, we had gone through, we've talked about the transition. In fact, much of the board here has seen some of the evolution of public works, but Bob, when I was, appointed to be the director, Bob, helped in that transition and came on over to become our business manager for the department. And has basically been sort of our, sort of confidant and sort of business guy and, someone who's been there, done that. And, has really just been invaluable to the team, and he's generally behind the scenes, but always present, so, just wanted to acknowledge that, he's gonna be missed, he's really helped us, go through a lot of change. His ability and willingness to sort of just be patient and coming with that experience and understanding that it's not always gonna be, sort of ideal. And we've had a lot of challenges, but I think, we owe Bob just an incredible amount of appreciation for helping us keep the ship afloat in some pretty rough seas. So just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if the people in Concord realize how lucky they are to have this commission. I've got 45 years in the public sector and worked with a lot of boards. But you guys strike the right balance between being the sounding board for the community and keeping us honest and keeping us sharp. And it's been enjoyable to have a group like that has our backs. And, I think what you all have been able to accomplish in this last year is phenomenal. as far as that's concerned, so keep it up.
And thank you. You know, you've always done such a great job of explaining things to us, where numbers are coming from. And I've been in cemetery committee meetings where you've done that too, and it's incredibly helpful.
Okay, well, thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we ready?
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I, Gretchen Rohrbach, hereby make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.